Listen, that simple two-word phrase, follow me, is probably one of the most famous things Jesus ever said, right? But I gotta be honest, for the longest time, I completely missed the power in it. I heard it as a simple invitation to join his fan club, or maybe just believe what he believed. And I think a lot of us feel that way. It becomes this easy, passive thing we check off a spiritual to-do list. Before we go deeper, if you love learning about what Jesus really taught and want to grow your faith with me, hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. It means a lot to me that we're on this journey together. So let's go back to the beginning, to those dusty roads where Jesus first spoke those words to fishermen like Peter and Andrew. We hear it today and think, sure, I follow Jesus, meaning you accept his teachings. But back then, when a rabbi, a Jewish teacher, said, follow me to a potential student, it meant something intense, something all-consuming. It wasn't a casual invite to a weekly lecture. The best way to understand it is that a disciple didn't just learn the rabbi's words, they studied the rabbi's life. They were literally expected to walk where the rabbi walked, eat what he ate, and observe every single thing he did, from how he prayed to how he handled a disagreement in the marketplace. The goal was to become a living, breathing copy of the teacher. The saying went, may you be covered in the dust of your rabbi. Think about that. It means you were walking so closely behind him that the dust kicked up from his feet was settling on your clothes. That's the visual. Total proximity, total imitation. That's the cultural weight of what Jesus was asking for. It wasn't believe in me, it was live like me. And that's the part, the deep personal imitation that I think most modern Christians miss. We've made following Jesus too much about orthodoxy, right belief, and not enough about orthopraxy, right action, right living. We focus on the things we say we believe instead of the way we actually spend our time, our energy, and our money. If Jesus' life was characterized by radical compassion, challenging the powerful, loving the outcast, and giving selflessly, then following him means doing those things, even when they're uncomfortable or unpopular. It's not just a declaration we make on Sunday. It's the quiet decisions we make on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. It's about being covered in his dust, even in the modern office, the noisy kitchen, or the stressful traffic jam. I remember talking with my friend Sarah about this a few years ago. Sarah's one of those people who's always been a good Christian, volunteering, reading her Bible, the whole thing. But she was exhausted and honestly kind of miserable. She was constantly comparing herself to others, always chasing a feeling of being spiritual enough. And she was really sharp and judgmental about people who didn't live up to her standards. One day she was just drained, sitting in a coffee shop, and she was reading a passage about Jesus talking with a Samaritan woman, someone who was totally on the outside of acceptable society back then. And it hit her, not like a theological thunderbolt, but like a simple, quiet truth. Jesus didn't lecture the woman. He didn't judge her past or correct her behavior first. He just saw her, spoke to her with respect, and offered her something life-giving. She put her book down and just started crying right there in the coffee shop. Listen, she told me later, she realized her whole life had been spent trying to earn Jesus' approval through religious performance, and in the process, she'd completely missed what his life was all about, radical grace and simple presence. Her moment of realization wasn't a sudden surge of theological knowledge. It was an emotional recognition that she was failing at the imitation part. She wasn't kicking up the dust of compassion, she was kicking up the dust of judgment. The change in Sarah wasn't immediate, but it was real. She started choosing to listen before she spoke. She started volunteering not at the church-approved project, but at a little messy, unglamorous food pantry in a rougher part of town where she had to let go of her perfect expectations. She found her peace not in feeling spiritual enough, but in simply showing up and treating every person she met with the same non-judgmental respect Jesus showed the Samaritan woman. She was finally, truly, getting covered in his dust. And you know, there's a simple truth in human behavior that backs this up. Psychologists call it modeling or observational learning. It's how children learn to speak, how apprentices learn a trade, and frankly, it's how we all develop our character. We don't primarily become who we are by listening to a set of rules. We become who we are by deeply observing and imitating the people around us, especially the people we respect. If you spend your time with cynical people, you become cynical. If you spend your time observing generosity and patience, those qualities start to feel natural to you. Jesus, being fully human and fully divine, understood this fundamental law of human nature perfectly. He didn't just give us a set of beliefs, he gave us a perfect model of a human life to observe and imitate. Listen, he knew that the only way for his nature to become our nature was for us to walk step for step with him. So when Jesus looks at you today and says, "Follow me," he's asking for your life, not just your mental assent. He's asking you to stop asking, "What should I believe?" and start asking, "What would Jesus do in this specific moment with this difficult person, with this resource I hold?" It's a continuous, daily surrender of our natural inclination to judge, to fear, or to self-protect in favor of his example of courage, love, and sacrifice. It's an invitation to become, moment by moment, like the one we follow. Listen, don't complicate it. Don't let it become a theological puzzle. Keep it simple. Following Jesus means that when you are done with your day, the people you encountered, the choices you made, the dust you kicked up, should look a whole lot like his. It's a lifelong process, one marked by doubt, by falling down, and by getting back up again. But the invitation remains, walk with me. Take a moment after this video's done and just reflect on one place in your life where you might be following a rule instead of following his example. Where can you choose imitation over information? Thank you so much for watching and for being a part of this community. I'll see you soon as we keep trying to walk a little closer to him.